Okay. Good afternoon, students. So, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So, let's start. Before we start with the proper practicals and other things, so there are general terms or general things that I want you to know and you to understand. Probably you know these things. So, if you know, it's fine. But if you don't know, then let's first discuss these things. These are very important before we studied virus as a pathogen, right? So, viruses, they cause diseases, right? Viruses cause diseases in humans. Viruses cause diseases in plants. Viruses cause diseases in fishes also. I mean, they cause a lot of. They are basically pathogens, right? Sometimes in plants, they are present as a cryptic viruses. We call them a cryptic viruses, where they don't cause any symptoms or any visible changes in the plants, but they are there. They're always present in the plants. They don't cause much losses. So those viruses are called cryptic viruses also. That means they are present there, but not causing any losses. But otherwise, whenever they affect or infect humans or plants or animals, they definitely cause certain kind of diseases, right? So what is disease? To begin with, what is disease? How do we define a disease? So a disease is basically any condition which is not normal, or any abnormal condition which is affecting negatively the structure or a function of some parts of organism or whole of organism. It is changing it, right? And which is definitely due to any external injury. It is caused by, it has to be caused by, and only it is caused, it is called as a disease. So disease is any conditions in human or a plant or animal which leads to a certain kind of a visible changes or visible symptoms, right? How do we identify a disease? We identify a disease by the symptom it is causing in a humans or a plants. You are having a cold, you are having just running nose, or you're having a headache or a certain fever sometimes. So you'll have an idea that you are not well. There may be some viral, or there may be some flu or other kind of a thing, right? You're having certain rashes on your body or something like that. So maybe it's fungal or other infection. So visible, with the help of visible symptoms, or your throat is sore, you're having cough. So those are the symptoms of the disease in humans. Similarly, there are symptoms of the disease in the plants. That how do we know they are affected by a particular pathogen? So they show some visible changes, and there are some internal changes in the plants also, histological changes that so those changes can be seen only under the microscope, but external changes can be seen by a naked eye, such as symptoms that they produce, right? So diseases are medical conditions that are associated with different symptoms and signs. So we are using two terms here. We are using symptoms also, and we are using signs also. And these two terms are different. They are not similar. Symptoms are external visible changes that are caused by any pathogens, or internal changes which are caused by the virus. Could be bacteria, could be fungus, any changes that we see, internal changes that can be checked under the microscope. So those are symptoms of a particular disease. What are signs then? Signs are basically, we don't use the term signs in case of a viral infection in plants, because they don't leave any certain kind of a sign, right? Bacterial, for example, if there is a bacterial or fungal infection in a plant, we'll see some kind of spores. Or in case of bacterial infection, there's a bacterial ooze. If we break the stem of a plant, a white ooze like substance will come out, and that gives indication that it is a bacteria. So that is a sign basically. In case of a fungi infecting a particular plant, certain spores, maybe it could be your spores of a fungi, it could be any other fruiting body which is visible on the external part of the plant. So those are the called as a signs of a pathogen, right? So this is how we differentiate symptoms from the sign. In case of viruses, we don't see any signs, because they are themselves very small, and they are just causing a visible changes or some symptoms or external changes in the plant, so that can be visualized in the form of a symptoms, but otherwise they don't leave any such signs. But very important in case of a plant pathogen such as fungi or bacteria, they definitely have certain kind of a signs by which we can identify that this is this pathogen. Like, so this is just a general figure or you know, figure giving what are biotic and what kind of a stress in a plant basically we do have. So stress is basically defined or designated into two types: a biotic stress and abiotic stress. So biotic stress is caused in the plants when it is due to the pathogens. It could be virus, fungus, or bacteria. You know, any kind of pathogen. That is known as a biotic stress. If a stress like condition is caused in the plant due to the environmental factors could be the heat, could be light, could be drought, salt, frost, whatever. So those factors are known as abiotic stress, right? They are not caused by any pathogen, but due to the different environmental conditions. And there are some changes that plants made in themselves to overcome these kind of a stress like conditions, right? But if stress is caused by pathogens, so definitely, yes, if we talk about pathogens plants immune system, they definitely have certain kind of a immune system, not like humans, but there are certain chemicals which are released, certain metabolites which are being released, which affect the pathogen or which block their entry. Or if we talk about the PTGS, it's a post-transcriptional gene silencing. So it is a basic mechanism in the plant which is being used to shoo away the pathogens or viral pathogens sometimes. So we are not going to discuss PTGS or RNAi here. Maybe in some lecture I'll try to tell you little about what is PTGS. But yes, they definitely have some compounds. They definitely release some chemicals which you know, due to which the pathogens, they don't either infect the plant or impact. Applications defect for abiotic stress could be decrease in a photosynthesis. It could be the leaf senescence, or effect of a biotic stress can be plant stunting, reduced growth of a plant, or reduce in the yield of the plant, reduce or change in the shape of a plant, or there could be a hormonal imbalance. They could be a reduced biomass, a lot of things, right? So, but we are mostly concerned about the economic losses which are caused due to the pathogen, and those losses are the reducing in quantity and quality. Because India is rather, we all are dependent upon the agriculture for our food. We are not always having the non-veg. Major part of the food that we consume is from the agriculture products. So if that loss is caused in that production, so अगर 40% भी loss हो रहा है या 30% भी due to the pathogen, rather it is more than 40%. So that 40% could have been neutralized with the people, right? So in order to reduce that loss, we need to study the pathogen, right? So if we talk about the human disease conditions, again they are very different. There are different kind of pathogens. There are viruses, there are fungal diseases, there are different kind of cancers which are being caused. There are different kind of bacteria which cause diseases. So whenever such kind of a disease, they also affect humans. So there are certain changes in the human body also, which are being noticed by us, and then we go to the doctor, and then doctor recommends a certain kind of medication. So this is how we identify this. Like, if we definitely we cannot, as a layman, or if I'm getting infected by a certain pathogen, I cannot just go for the diagnosis. I'll go to the doctor first, and then doctor will recommend a diagnostic, and after diagnosis then he'll recommend the medicine. So this is how it is being done, right? So after disease, the second very important part is a disease triangle. How a disease takes place. What are the important factors which are very important for a particular disease to take place, right? So we talk about the plant, we talk about a disease triangle. Disease triangle is very important. And disease triangle has a three component: environment, pathogen, and host. So whenever there is a suitable environment, whenever there is a virulent pathogen, or whenever there is a susceptible host, जब ये तीनों चीजें match करेंगी, then only disease will take place. If host is not susceptible, disease will not take place. If environment is not suitable, disease will not take place. If pathogen is not virulent, other two factors are fine, disease will not take place. So for a particular disease to take place, all these three factors must be suitable. They must be in line so that a disease takes place. Similarly, if we talk about the when we talk of human diseases, we talk about the disease triad also sometimes. So here also host is these three: host, what is the age of the host, what is the sex of the host, what is the genetic condition, or is the immunity of the particular host. So all these affect a particular pathogen to impact a particular host. Environmental conditions, certain kind of a pathogen such as the dengue virus, you see, it comes in the rainy season. Why it comes in the rainy season? Because its vector, which is a virus, it breeds more in the rainy season, right? So that's why in the rainy season its infection is more. So it is environmental. Dengue का infection आपको ज़्यादा सर्दियों में या किसी और सीजन में नहीं मिलेगा. So environment has certain kind of impact. Then agents could be biological, could be chemical, could be physical. Agents are like pathogens. If they are pathogens, definitely biotic. If they could be other agents, so it is not due to certain pathogen, right? So these things are very important. Whenever we want to study a particular pathogen, we need to study all the factors which are causing a particular disease. We need to study the environment factor. We need to study the host factor. Whether a particular pathogen is virus is affecting a particular sex or particular age of the people or particular community of the people. So all these factors are very important to study the epidemiology of a particular pathogen. And why epidemiology is important? Because unless and until we study the epidemiology of pathogens, we cannot do diagnostics, we cannot go for the management. So all these factors are very important to study a particular disease. So always remember disease triangle: host, pathogen, environment, host, pathogen, agent, and what are those other factors which leads to the development of a particular disease, right? So here is our topic, virus. So virus, when we talk about a virus, it is infectious, it is very small, it has a genetic material, DNA or RNA. It is transmitted by vectors in a plant, or in a human it is transmitted through the aerosols, or a human to human direct transmission, right? So it is ultra microscopic, that is, it is around 20 to 300 nanometer in diameter, very small, impossible for a naked eyes to see it. It is inert, yes. If it is not in the human, it is outside somewhere, it is inert, it cannot do, it is a particle, right? Particle like thing kuch bhi nahi hoga until and unless it will find a host. It replicates only within the cells of a living host, so it needs living host for replication and multiplication. In fact, bacteria, plants, animals composed of RNA or DNA coat, it has a protein coat, or sometimes some viruses they have a envelope also, right? So viruses are intracellular obligate parasite, intracellular inside the cell, obligate living organism. They need a living organism. They are not cells, but they are infectious agent that contain protein coat and a nucleic acid. They have a nucleic acid, it could be RNA or DNA, and then they have a protein coat. Examples are your human HIV virus, which is very common. It has caused some epidemic-like situations in the maybe in 1960s or later in that period, or maybe early 1990s also. Yes, it is there. It is still there, but the infection rate is low, and therapeutics have been developed for these kind of viruses also, right? So when we discuss about the management of viruses, I'll tell you what is the therapy which has been very being widely used for the HIV viruses, right? Then there are plant viruses. I don't know, I'm not sure how many of you have heard about plant viruses earlier, but to study plant viruses is also equally important as we want to study the human viruses, right? So these kind of studies are very important and are being done on a regular basis, right? So now, how do viruses differ from fungi? Fungi is also a pathogen. Fungi is also causing disease in plants, humans, and animals. Similarly, viruses cause it. So how do these pathogens are different? Viruses are very small. They are the smallest type of microbes and they reproduce inside the cell. If we talk about plant virus, there are 39 different families of a plant virus which have number of viruses in them and they are infecting plants. Bromoviridae is the largest family of a plant virus which has a large number of a host plant. Almost every kind of a plant they are infected, right? So they are enormous in number. Fungi are spore producing organism. They produce spores, they multiply by fission or they multiply by other methods and they cause disease. They are visible. They symptom they under the microscope if you try to see them they can be visible. They root crop of a fungus, they could be athlete foot in humans, they all are fungi. Viruses have RNA and DNA as their genomes. Three basic proteins, movement protein, core protein, and a replication protein. When we'll study the genome of virus in detail, we'll study how it is forming different kind of a protein, how it encodes for different proteins, and what are the function of those different proteins. Fungi, they produce structures which are called mycelium. They are hyphae as part of their infection mechanism. Very simple. You all have studied fungi already early. Fungi can be grown on artificial media, whereas viruses cannot be grown on artificial media. Viruses need cell lines. Cell culture करते हैं हम उसके लिए. In plants, they need a live plants for maintaining. Mechanically inoculate them to the live plant, and there they produce. There they stay. If we need those viruses for further studies, maybe for RNA DNA section, we use it from the propagative host or host plants maintenance here, right? So this is how. Then how do viruses differ from bacteria and how they are similar? Like again, bacteria are they are living organism. They are unicellular, one cell only. Viruses, they are not living. They don't have any cells, right? But both can cause diseases. Bacteria can cause diseases, viruses can cause diseases. Bacteria are larger than 100 nanometer. Viruses are 20 to around 400 nanometer. They are very small. They cannot be visualized by naked eyes or even a compound microscope. Fission is a form of asexual reproduction in the bacteria, whereas virus use altogether different mechanism. It invades a host cell, it use the host cell machinery, and it replicates using the host cell DNA and RNA and other things. Then bacteria, usually bacterial infections are localized, but viruses, they can be systemic. They're found throughout the body or throughout the plant. And viruses, bacteria can be controlled by antibiotics. This is one plus point. Though these days the bacterial resistance, antibiotic resistance problem is there. Lot of problem is there. So many bacteria, they have developed resistance to antibiotic. So that is a huge human concern that we need to look for either new antibiotics or more antibiotics. And then the bacteriophage or phage therapy is also roping into, somewhere to make up the loss which is caused by the bacterial resistance problem. Whereas viruses cannot be controlled by any antibiotics, it will not affect them, right? Both can cause diseases, both they spread by roots of coughing, sneezing, coming into contact with contaminated animal or people. Possibility to be vaccinated, yes, we are vaccinated for bacterial diseases also. Viruses, definitely vaccine is there. Then capable of both are capable of killing humans and raging human health. Both bacterial infections. You see the example of a tuberculosis. Tuberculosis, we have a proper control available for tuberculosis. Proper treatment or therapeutics are available for tuberculosis. Still, tuberculosis is killing many people, thousands of people within a year. Why? Because of improper use of those antibiotics. After taking few doses, people feel they are fine. They discontinue the doses. वो यूज को आगे यूज नहीं करेंगे, उसमें क्या होगा, बैक्टीरियल रेजिस्टेंट डेवलप हो जाएगा एंड दैट एंटीबायोटिक इज नॉट यूजफुल अगेन, and sooner or later that person will again get infected by the mycobacterium and he'll not get better. So this is the ignorance of the people about the use of various antibiotics. Though it's not the fault of the doctors, they definitely tell them that you complete the course, you don't live in between, but still people do that. So this is the main cause. So bacterial diseases are also really harmful. They cause the mortality in the humans and lot of problems. Then viral diseases. Mm, Live example is the coronavirus in front of you. Yes, HIV also killed many people. Influenza kills many people during the year. So yes, those diseases are also, mortality rate is, we cannot say, we can say that they mortality rate is high in viral infection also, right? So both are affecting humans and plants equally. So this is again just the difference between plant, animal, or a human virus. Here, animal virus word is used, but it is slash human virus. Animal viruses and human viruses, they behave mostly in a similar way. So plant virus, definitely a virus which infect plants, and animal virus which infect animal cells or human cells, right? Host of a plant virus is a definitely plant, and the animal virus is an animal or a human, right? Host basically where the virus will live, right, and cause infection. Like if they are causing infection in a human, so humans are the host of that virus. If the viruses are causing infection in a plant, so plants are the host of the that particular virus. Up, we'll discuss in the end. There's a big question. So, can this interchange takes place? Can human viruses or animal viruses have a whole plant host as a plant, or vice versa? Can plant viruses infect humans? So that is a big question that we'll study later. So
Excuse me,
yes,
ma'am.
yes,
I'm sorry, brother. Sorry for interrupting.
yes.
My network just revived a bit. That's why I'm able to speak now.
Okay, fine, fine, fine. It's okay, Tridev.
I'm sorry, extremely sorry, ma'am.
That's fine. That's fine. That's okay.
Thank you,
So,
ma'am.
yeah. So, yes, without host, infection cannot take place. So, susceptible host, I must say, a proper term is here. The susceptible host is very important for any virus to cause disease or infection, right? Then genome, plant viruses are single-stranded, mostly single-stranded RNA genome. Yes, there are DNA viruses also, such as your Vegmo viruses or Gemini viruses, which also cause infection, but mostly are RNA viruses, right? In animal viruses or human viruses also, both types are present, but mostly they say there are DNA virus genomes are mostly there. RNA भी है, ऐसा नहीं आपके influenza and बाकी जो viruses है, they all are RNA viruses, but they are there. So genome is basically whatever they have, RNA or DNA, the entire pool, gene pool of a particular organism, right? That is the their genome basically, right? So examples, there are a lot of examples. RNA, if we talk about the plant viruses, there are, you name any plant and it has a virus. Mostly all plants are affected by viruses. The tobacco mosaic virus is a classical example because this was the first virus to be studied, tobacco mosaic virus. So that is why today also when we talk about the viruses or tobacco mosaic virus comes first in the mind, right? Then we have a potato virus, why we have Prunus necrotic ring spot virus, we have apple viruses, we have vegetable, number of them, right? Human viruses, hepatitis C virus, then polio virus, we have hepatitis B virus, immune deficiency virus, we have dengue virus, we have herpes simplex virus. So number of viruses are there. Diseases, if we, these are the viruses, so tobacco viruses cause tobacco ring spot diseases, watermelon mosaic diseases or yellow diseases, African cassava mosaic. I'll tell you the, when we discuss the nomenclature, then I'll tell you that how they are named, right? Or how viruses are named. So it's very easy also, like the name of the virus contains the symptom they cause. For example, tobacco mosaic virus, that means it is causing mosaic-like symptoms. Potato leaf roll virus, it is causing leaf rolling symptoms. So name of the viruses usually contain in a plant, they contain the symptoms of that particular type of the virus that it is causing, right? So how do they enter into the cell? In the plant, they enter through the wounds or holes or through the vectors. Vectors also cause wounds or holes, and through vectors they take an entry into the plant. In the humans, they enter through endocytosis. There's one important thing here that viruses need to identify certain receptors in the hosts especially in case of a humans when we talk about. So until and unless there are certain receptors wherever to which the viruses will bind and then you move inside, they will not cause any infection. So for every viruses which infect humans, there are certain kind of they are being identified by the virus, and then they get moved inside, and they can replicate within the humans and other things. So these receptors, they play a very important role in the infection of the human virus, right? So this is again okay. Now, important point and a thoughtful question here is that can human viruses infect plant viruses or vice versa? And if this happens, how how it will impact? I mean, both humans and the plant. So this is a question that you yourself. I'm going to discuss this question in the next class. That is this possible? कि human viruses they can infect plant, or plant viruses they can infect humans? Is there any certain kind of a possibility, or it's just a thought? So you need to think about this basically. So I'll stop presenting here. I'll upload another PPT which will start for the practical basically, right? Give me a second. Okay, so the practicals will start with the plant virus practicals first, because to do human virus practicals, basically cell culture, we need lab. Or theoretically, if we want to do that, then again we'll take up that after the plant virus practicals are being done, right? So certain practicals are common because the diagnostic methods are same in animal human viruses and plant viruses. There are certain extra in human viruses that we'll discuss side by side. So since we are not done with any of the theory topic, to start with the practical is a tough job, but I thought that at least one topic we can take for a practical, which is not related to the other virus discussion or introduction that we'll do later, other topics, right? So that is basically the symptoms, right? So we, as I told you earlier also, that we identify plant viruses by the types of the symptoms they are producing in the plants. So what are those different kind of plant symptoms that I'll try to discuss in today's lecture. So in practical file, we'll prepare a practical like this, the symptoms caused by viruses in the plants, and one side you will put a figure or a picture of it, and the right hand side will write about that particular symptom. So that will be your practical one, right? So this I've already told you that most virus names in common use terms that describe an important symptom in a major host or host from which virus was first described. So tobacco mosaic virus, potato leaf roll virus, prunus necrotic ring spot virus, apple chlorotic leaf spot virus, apple mosaic virus. So all of them have a name in that, symptom mentioned in that. So it is very easy to identify. So beside that symptom, there are other symptoms also, but one major symptom is always mentioned in the name of the virus. So some viruses under appropriate conditions may affect a plant without producing any obvious sign or a disease. I've told you earlier also that some viruses are latent, some viruses are already they are always in the present in the plant, but they don't cause much symptoms or much loss to the plant. So we are not worried for those to study those kind of viruses. But between these extreme, a wide variety of diseases can be produced by the viruses. So symptoms are very important for virus identification. They are used to name a particular disease a particular virus. And again, an important part is that solely they cannot be used to characterize virus as it is affected by many other viruses. So just based on the symptom, we cannot say that this is this virus. We can say this might this if we see a mosaic symptom, this could be a mosaic virus, but then mosaic symptom is produced by again number of genera in a different kind of viruses. So in order for a proper identification, we need a diagnostic method. But since in the field we'll begin with the symptoms, so that is the first important point to study. So virus infection does not cause necessary disease all the time in all parts of infected plants. So there are certain situations which comes under this. For example, if a particular plant is infected, there's infection with a very mild strain of a virus. So basically, there are terms we use in a virus infection: mild strain and a virulent strain. So mild strain is that strain in a virus which does not cause much symptoms or very less symptoms, and it does not cause much losses to the plant. So that is designated as a mild strain, but it is there in the plant. Then there's a virulent strain which causes lot of losses, which causes lot of symptoms which are visible in the plant, and then losses in terms of a yield or a quantity or a quality of. So those are called basically virulent strains, right? So if there's an infection with a very mild strain of the virus, definitely symptoms will बहुत कम होंगे, very less, और losses भी नहीं होंगे. Host is tolerant. Many times it happens that the host is tolerant to a particular. See, there's a difference between tolerant and resistant, right? There are two different words. We don't mix them. Tolerant means virus will come and infect that particular plant, but that particular plant is tolerating that virus without that virus causing much harm to that particular plant. Tolerant plant. Resistant plant is that plant, resistant host, in which virus cannot infect at all. वो अंदर entry नहीं करेगा, इसको infect ही नहीं करेगा. So that plant is designated as a resistant plant to a particular virus. So these two are different terms. Then sometimes what happens, there's a recovery from disease symptoms in a newly formed leaves. Older leaves, they were infected by a virus, but the new leaves which are emerging, they don't have any virus in them. So they don't have we don't need to worry about that. Leaves that escape infection because of their age and position in the plant. Sometimes, see, there is a particular time or a age of the plant also जिसमें infection जो होता है ज़्यादा होता है. Usually young plants are mostly susceptible to a particular disease. So अगर that stage is crossed, प्लांट थोड़ा मेच्योर हो गया, there are chances कि वो virus infection or virus will not impact that particular plant. So age is a very important part, or a particular age of a plant is it's also a very important factor for a particular infection by a particular virus. And the position of a particular leaves in a particular plant. So it's placed in a leaf is placed in such a way that the vectors are not able to reach that particular plant, and they are not able to transmit on those leaves. So that is also important. Then plants infected with cryptic viruses. I told you there are such as there is a clover leaf virus one, clover leaf cryptic virus. It is a very important virus. Not very important because it is a cryptic virus. So it is infecting many plants. It is present in the plant there always, but not causing much symptoms and much losses. But yes, plant is still infected by that particular virus.
Excuse
right?
me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, sorry, my network got broke. So can you please explain what you mean by the cryptic virus and the last point?
I'll tell you, no problem. See, I was telling you that sometimes what happens that plants are affected. We call two terms. There's a latent infection. That means the viruses are there in the plant, or a cryptic virus. They are there in the plant, but they don't cause much symptoms in the plant. So they are, if we go for a certain kind of diagnostic, maybe ELISA, PCR, we'll find that virus, but visible symptoms, they are not much, or they are not causing much losses. So those kind of viruses are called cryptic viruses. So we don't need to study them much, but yes, few cryptic viruses have been identified in the plant. So they are there, but they are not causing much losses. So those viruses are called cryptic viruses, right?
So ma'am, they just
so again then
in the plant, right?
Yes, Yuvraj.
Ma'am, I'm asking that these viruses just stay stationary in those plants.
Yeah, they're there, but they're not causing causing much losses.
Okay,
They're not
okay.
causing, they are there in the plant, plants are infected, but loss, see, unless a particular virus is causing a loss to a particular plant, it is not our interest of study. So we'll only study a particular virus in the plant if there are some losses which are being caused. There are some symptoms which are being visible to us, right? Otherwise,
Yes,
if they're not causing much losses, then it's fine. Let them be there, right?
yes, ma'am.
Yes. Then I'll, yeah, in the next slide, I'll discuss that what the different percent losses are caused by them. But still, the losses caused by viruses are difficult to access. Sometimes there are various reasons for that. First, there are variation in the losses caused by the viruses in a particular crop from a year to year. They are not stable. Maybe one year there are some losses, in the next year there are not that much losses. Though we don't want to go for that. They are not studied that widely, region to region and climate to climate, because plant viruses, they need vectors for their transmission. If vectors are not there, they are not being transmitted. So that environment should also be suitable for a particular vector, such as whitefly, Babesia tabecae, or we have thrips, we have a Mycus persicae. So many such insect vectors are there, which also play a very important role in transmission of viruses between the plants, right? So अगर vectors नहीं होंगे तो definitely virus भी transmit नहीं करेंगे. So that is another factor. Then what happens, the loss symptoms which are caused by the viruses in the plants, in the fruits, are not as severe as the symptoms which are caused by the fungal infection. A potato scab is a disease which is caused by the Erwinia, some bacteria, I guess, or fungus in a potato. So it rots the potato in such a way that we cannot consume it. Now, if we compare similar this to this pathogen which is called apple chlorotic leaf spot virus or Prunus necrotic ring spot virus, which affects the apple. Lekin this virus is causing not much changing in the shape and color of the fruit. It is infected, but it is still there. Losses yield थोड़ी कम हो सकती है और losses नहीं है. So that's how people, sometimes the growers or orchard people, they are not aware that this particular tree is affected by certain kind of pathogen, because symptoms are not as visible as they are in case of some fungal or other bacterial infection. So that is also one reason that their losses are not studied. But it's not that they are not at all studied. Cotton leaf curl was totally destroyed by cotton leaf curl pathogen. Cassava viruses totally destroyed the cassava crop in South Africa and Sudan and all those places. Cassava is a staple food there. Virus totally destroyed. So it's not that it doesn't cause that much losses. Sometimes losses are up to the 100%. Epidemic like situations comes due to the viruses, right? So, okay, though some type of direct and indirect damage which are associated with virus infection are reduction in the growth of the plant, yield reduction, symptomless infection hai, but still there is a yield. That means the if a particular tree was producing like 20 kgs of apple per year, so this year the yield is 15 kg or could be 12 kg or could be 10 kg. So yield is reduced, right? Then crop failure can be, as I told you about the citrus trichina virus, totally destroyed the citrus trees, totally destroyed the no production of a citrus fruits, total crop production, right? Reduction in a vigor. So vigor is basically overall health of a plant or overall look of a plant. So they doesn't look good. Sometimes the infection of the by the viruses, I don't know if you've seen, there's a tomato spotted wilt virus. So mostly I see the tomato in the market. I see the symptom of this tomato spotted wilt virus on the tomato plant, tomato crops basically. Or sometimes the fruits, they are misshapen, they are not of a good size, they don't look good. So they reduce the vigor of a crop basically. They don't look good, right? And in India, we all in a we are in a habit of buying hand-picked fruits and vegetables especially. So those which will not appeal to us, will leave it aside. We'll pick healthy ones. So that is again a loss. That those lot will fetch less value or less price as compared to the healthy one, right? Then there is an increased sensitivity to frost and drought. So plants which are affected by the viruses, they are more sensitive to the frost and drought like conditions. there is an increased predisposition to attack by other pathogens. That means if they are affected by viruses, they are more susceptible to other fungal or other bacterial pathogens also, right? So multiple pathogens can affect a particular plant. There are certain cases, examples where number of viruses and bacteria and fungi are affecting a particular plant, and then the losses are increased because there's a multiple infection. Then there's a reduction in quality or market value. This is very important. The quality reduces. The price you're going to fetch for a healthy crop, you will not going to get for a infected crops which is infected by a particular virus. So this is important. And then there are defects of visual attraction, size, shape, and color. As I told you, mostly in case of fruit, this happens. That if there's a slight change in a color or a shape or a size, it will not attract people, right? It will definitely get you less money. Then cost of attempting to maintain crop health, the cost that we lose in that is again a major important factor. So we need to look for an eradication program. We need to go for breeding for resist, because as in viruses, virus resistant plants, virus free planting material are the only techniques by which we can prevent the infection. So उन सब के लिए जो cost होगा, that is also included, right? Okay, now coming to the symptoms, there are macroscopic symptoms definitely which are visible, and there are also local symptoms and systemic symptoms, two types. So local symptoms are those symptoms, they are when the virus enters a particular plant at a particular site, so those symptoms appear at that particular plant. So they are not moved to the other part of the plant. So local symptom localized है, उसी part में उसी plant के that only maybe on the leaf or a stem they'll appear there only. So those are called local symptoms. They develop near the site of entry on the leaves and are usually not of any important significance, but there are certain biological assays when we do to identify a particular virus. Biological studies can be done. So there the local symptoms they play a very important role. So infected cells, they will lose chlorophyll and other pigments, and they give rise to chlorotic local lesions. They could be white or they could be dark color, could be dark black spots on the leaf. So these are called locals. Then we have a systemic symptoms. So systemic means now virus has moved to the different parts of the plant. So definitely when it will move to the other parts of the plant, the losses can be more. So effect on the plant size, reduction in a plant size is a more general symptom by a virus infection. Stunting is usually due to the reduction in the leaf size or internode length. So leaf numbers, fruit numbers, all those things can be affected by a virus infection. This is an example of a stunting which is caused by tomato bushy stunt virus in a brinjal. So don't go with the name. It is called a tomato bushy stunt virus because it was first identified in tomato. After then, it found other hosts also. It was identified in a brinjal also, but then it was not called brinjal stunt virus. It was named as similar as a tomato bushy stunt virus because genome was similar. There was not much variability. New strain was not there. So it is called tomato bushy stunt virus, right? So stunting affect all parts of the plant, maybe reduction in the size of the leaves, flowers, fruits or roots. And for example, there is a little cherry disease. The fruit remains small owing to reduced cell division. Leaf growth है, but fruit small है due to the particular. So a reduction in the total yield of the fruit is common feature and economic aspect of the virus disease. The lower yield may sometimes be due to reduction in both size and number of the fruit. So this is the most common effect. Then mosaic patterns, tobacco mosaic virus, apple mosaic virus. So mosaic is a very common term. So mosaic is a very common symptom which is produced by the virus in the plant. So this is the development of pattern of a light and dark green areas, giving rise to mosaic effect in the infected leaves. So these are the example, African cassava mosaic virus. The leaves, you will see a pattern mix, yellow and a green mix. Ebuliton mosaic virus. This is a flowering plant. So see how prominent the mosaic is. You see the patches, variegated patches on the leaves. So these are the common symptoms. So, okay. That's good. Then variegation or a color breaking. The color of the petals, again, it accompanies microstreak symptoms in the leaves. Breaking flakes हो गया, फिर जैसे ये फर्स्ट वाला टोबैको का है, टोबैको मोजाइक वायरस. Another one is a lily virus, tulip breaking virus and lily virus, if I'm not wrong, right? So it breaks the color of the virus. When I'll discuss history with you, so it's a very interesting story also there. Tulipomania was one common factor in maybe 1770s or somewhere there, that there were tulips. A new tulip variety was found at that time which had variegated petals, maybe white color with the pink color and all those colors, and they were like precious for everyone. Like people were mad for that after that. And later it was found after many years that it was caused due to the tulip breaking virus. Many years later it was found. So viruses cause the variegation also, and sometimes positive. This comes under the positive effect of the viruses also, that they can be used to develop variegated varieties in the plant. Some viruses can be used there, right? Then there are yellow diseases, as the name suggests. Plant loses the chlorophyll on the leaves and other parts, and they become yellow. Mostly they show yellow color leaves, yellow color plants, all those things. So those are called as the yellow diseases. So then the leaf rolling. Leaf rolling is also a very important symptom. Here the leaf of the plant, they roll. This is an example of a grapevine leaf roll virus. So due to the virus infection, rolling of the leaves is there. They can be downwards or towards the plant. They can roll in that way. Then another symptom is the ring spot viruses. The first one is a papaya ring spot virus symptoms on the papaya. Second is a prunus necrotic ring spot. So necrotic spots are formed on the leaves, and sometimes those areas around the rings they fall down, and the hole-like sexual, hole-like looks in the leaves. Holes are formed. Different kinds of holes are formed. So they are called necrotic rings. A pattern of concentric rings and irregular lines on the leaves and on the fruits. So these are also important symptoms. This is again papaya ring spot virus on the fruits. So see how prominent is papaya ring spot virus is a virus basically. It is a RNA virus, and lot of losses it is causing in papaya. In papaya, the papaya leaf curl virus, which is a virus, DNA virus, and papaya ring spot virus, which is a RNA virus, they both are causing lot of losses. Or first fruit plant against the viruses which was developed was a papaya ring spot virus. Against virus resistant plant papaya के लिए develop हुआ था. This is that from that point of view also. This is very important, right? So again then we have necrotic diseases also. Since our class का time हो रहा है, so I'll just quickly give you overview, and then in detail we can discuss in the next class. We have a necrotic diseases, then we have a pox-like symptoms, and second leaf is of a strawberry. You can see a bending pattern, yellow bending. Around the vein you can see a yellow band, so that is called a vein bending. This one is a tomato spotted ring virus in a tomato fruit crop. You can see such rings on the fruit crops. Leaf curling and a mosaic and a tobacco, and these are again different viruses symptom. Chili plant. See, the C1 is your common bean, and see how yellow and puckering of a leaf is there. They are puffed up. Then you can see again a vein clearing in this one, D1, right? Tomato plant. So lot of symptoms, and these are the very common symptoms. If you visit any field also, these are the symptoms that you can see very common. Ageratum is a wild plant which is affected by viruses, and that plant throughout the year you see it's mostly yellow green pattern, yellow, these kind of pattern, because Ageratum is a wheat plant, but it is a reservoir host of DNA viruses, viruses. So when the proper host is not there, it maintains itself on a wheat plant and it stays there, right? So these are the symptoms. I will discuss again symptoms in detail, maybe in the next class. So this is the overview of the symptoms. So for attendance, please switch on your camera. I'll take attendance now. Adhish Mishra.
Yes, ma'am.
Sam.
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Yes. Devanshi? Ishita?
Present, ma'am.
Ishita? Janvi?
Present, ma'am.
Kshitij?
Present, ma'am.
Yeah, please switch on your camera, student. Kshitij? Manaswani?
Present, ma'am.
Namrita?
Present, ma'am.
Nandini? Nehal? Rupal?
Present, ma'am.
Sahiba?
Present, ma'am.
Sanjana?
Present, ma'am.
Shakti?
Present, ma'am.
Shivani?
Present, ma'am.
Yuvraj? Tridif के बाद में विवेक?
Present, ma'am.
Yukta?
Present, ma'am.
Students, please make sure that in the attendance you switch on your camera, and because we are asked to mark you present only if you switch on your camera, right? So make sure you do that, right? So tomorrow we have a theory class. I'll see you in the class tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.